Hi, my friend, it's Amy Thomson, and I am the Sun Tarot, and I'm here today with a quick general card reading for you. I'm not sure what is in store for you, but there were certain decks that were calling me, and I was guided that now is the time to pull messages for you, okay? Right at the very top, in the center, I've got Wounded Child, and below that we've got Perfect in inverse, and Creator in inverse, and then also Judgment, okay? So I'm gonna... Those ones are from the Shadow Oracle card deck, which I'll show you these cards in a minute. And if you were drawn to this video, there's likely a message in here for you, but it is a general reading for the collective, so take what resonates and leave the rest. And let's see what else there is here for you. So you got the Turquoise Emotional Wisdom upright. It's 22. You got the Black Phoenix upright. And then you also got the Royal Blue Dragon in inverse. Okay, so I'll just very quickly show you the cards. You got Judgment in inverse. Wounded Child, that's the center top of your reading. And the Creator, and also Perfect. They were in inverse, okay? And then you got Trust the Flow, which is the Turquoise Emotional Wisdom, Black Phoenix. Okay, that one right there. That is Rebirth. This is a really lovely story, okay? And then you also got the Indigo Adult in inverse. Okay, the Royal Blue Dragon. So right off the bat, the message is for you to take those stories that did not work for you, right? The things that really hurt you, the things that really, you know, maybe it's some deep-seated abandonment issues, or maybe there's some people who just were not nice to you. Maybe you were ridiculed. Maybe there's something to do with the way you spoke. I don't know if you ever had difficulties trying to get your message out or trying to speak and then people not listening, or maybe there was a stutter or some kind of speech impediment or something, but it's like trying to speak up for yourself, trying to, and wow, it's so hard to speak. Maybe you've got some inner truth or some things that need to really come out, okay? But if you're tripping up on your words, or if what you're trying to express isn't getting communicated to the people that you really want to communicate with, yeah, there's a message here that you are undergoing a growth process and you are undergoing a rebirth of some sort, and that your communication will actually become a lot clearer as you step into this new level of self. But what's been going on is a need to get it right, or to be perfect, or to like whatever, like a concern about whatever you're going to create with your communication. It could go either way, right? So it's like the question is, what is it that you are trying to create? What is it that you want? Do you notice how clear it is and how easy it is for me to speak now? It's because it's coming from something that's just letting it out, right? So knowing that there's a flow and a process and things are going to come together and click, you don't have to try so hard. And it's about giving up the judgments. So giving up the judgments and the criticisms of you, of what you think other people are going to say, of how you either hurt someone or they hurt you, or things that have happened to you in your past. But there's definitely some kind of like wounded rejection. There's some kind of like an outcast or rejected and not listened to and not cared for. It's got a really, like, the feeling that I'm getting is like really, you know, those kids that you just want to like pick up and snuggle, like you see them in the movies sometimes, and there's like that little person and you're just like, wow, you know. It reminds me of the movie Meet the Robinsons. Like, I don't know if you've seen that. It's like a kid's movie, and there's this little kid who, he's sad all the time, and he's mopey, and he kind of thinks like nobody wants him, and he's giving up, and he loses this baseball match, and then he, or this baseball game, and then he turns into like a villain as he gets older. And so whatever's happened in your life is really coming from deep-seated childhood wounds, like really from that age where somebody should have, in the ideal scenario, been there to snuggle, take care of you, make sure that everything was okay. But there was something where you were instead pushed aside, or not made to feel good enough, or outcast in some way. Yeah, so you got several cards from this deck. I use this, right? It's actually a card game, right? Which is kind of a neat card game to have one that's based on values. but you got respect right at the top. You got acceptance. Acceptance and balance, right? Balance is in inverse. Leisure time in inverse. And interpersonal connection upright. You know, when I first started doing this, like I pulled out my cards and I was shuffling. I was just preparing because I've got to do a bit of an energy clearing before I just jump into the readings. Otherwise, it's going to be a mixed up energy. But when I was shuffling the cards from the shadow deck, the one that was at the very bottom of it was celibacy, right? And since my relationship, I have not seen anybody, I haven't dated anybody, like nothing, right? Because I frankly don't want anybody in my energy. I want to be, you know, all mine. I want to be me, right? And not that you need to know all of that. It's really, I'm like, wow, did I just say too much? It's really like not anybody's business, but what it is it's like this inner respect that maybe I didn't get as a kid, and maybe okay, and I'm only sharing my story here because it may relate to yours, okay? Because this reading right here, I can tell is not for me. It's not my reading. It's actually not my energy. Even though the life path that I have is actually one of a wounded child, right? But long story short is, if I wasn't getting the respect that I wanted or deserved, then the best thing to do would be for me to respect myself, to be the person who would heal that part of myself that might not have got it when I was younger, if that makes any sense at all. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because there's, in your reading, like leisure time is in inverse, right? So it's almost like you've got to actually give up some of that play to do some inner work, but at the same time, you know, you still want to keep your interpersonal connection, right? And then it's going to feel a bit like you're out of balance for a little while. Okay. And it does. When you're working through stuff, it will go into like how much is too much personal time and how much is too much like social time and stuff like that. But it's finding that balance that really works for you to have that flow, but also that like growth, right? Because if we don't grow as people, we're going to continually go on. It's like going from one thing to another thing to another thing. And you know how they say hurt people hurt people? Well, if you haven't dealt with your own stuff and gone through your own stuff, you're just kind of going out and causing more stuff in the world. So the last thing that I would want to do right now would be to get in a relationship with somebody and bring all my hurt and stuff with me, right? Like what would I be doing in that, like in that sense, you know what I mean? So, yeah. And then acceptance, right? It's, that card there, I could say is for me, you know, but again, this is your reading, but it's like, if anything came to me in this reading that was like, this one resonates, it would be the acceptance. And for you, it's acceptance of where you are, like exactly where you are, and acceptance of like, things are not necessarily going to go your way, right? Everything in the beginning of this was like trying to communicate, not being heard, not being listened to, not being able to get the words out right. It was all around that. But here it's like, you're undergoing a process of a rebirth, right? You're coming out as a new and evolved version of yourself, and a better version of yourself, the kind of version of yourself that really respects yourself, like on a level that you, like you knew existed, but didn't necessarily believe that it existed. So the first thing is like accepting where things are at. It's almost like when you look at your financial statements, right? And you have to look at them, because when you look at them, you can go, okay, well, this is what it is. And then after that, that's when things can start to transform. Because a lot of people won't look at the things that are uncomfortable. And that's what causes people issues, especially in relationships, when there's one person who's like trying to look at the uncomfortable things and the other's like, no. But it doesn't matter if it's relationships. It's like anything. So I gave the image of financial statements, right? But regardless of what it is, whether it's a plan, a path, a journey, like a project, whether it's a friendship, whether it's like anything, a home renovation, like you need to know where you are, and you need to also know where you're going. The thing is, I do a lot of human design work, right? And I do, if you don't know what that is, it's like understanding people's, it goes by your birth charts and your birth time and stuff, but it's understanding people's natural energy patterns and when they have consistent energy and when they don't. And it's very, very deep. It's very complex, but understanding where you flow and where you get stuck is really, really great, because I've learned that some people have an easy time expressing themselves at any time. And usually it's got to do with how their energy is set in there. But if they have a hard time, it's often because there's inconsistent energy or blocks. And if you look into this and you actually go pretty deep, you can understand exactly what people's like unique blueprint is for their relationships, for their money, for their well-being, for everything. Like everything is inside of your blueprint when you're born, which is absolutely crazy to know, but it's quite cool. And being able to point people in the right direction for what's going to cause their not just financial wealth, but it's like a spiritual wealth. It's like a full-on authentic well-being. It's I feel it's like the greatest service I could provide is really helping people have absolute and true fulfillment. Anyways, you got the Singer of the Chalice. Okay, you got it. So it's 12. It adds up to 3, but you got it here, which is like upright and to the right, and it is actually going to go over top of the rebirth. And I'm going to pull something else here, and then I'm going to read a couple things. Okay, because that's a very, very good card, and it's like a really, it's like an optimistic card. You have something very, very good to look forward to. Yeah, and on top of the flow, you got deep, delicious rest, and you got come home to yourself. So this entire reading is taking you on a journey from being a wounded child to really being able to, you know, serve yourself, right? Be the person who you've always wanted to be, but more like the person who is deserving of the love that you have to give. Like if you were to really love someone 100%, give them everything, well, give that to you, right? Not in an arrogant or an ego-driven way. It's not like, there's a difference between people pleasing and just giving people like, here, I'm just going to make you happy, right? It's not that. It's a different energy. This energy is like, I'm going to care for you, and I'm going to nurture you, and I'm going to love you the way that you've always deserved. And you know, it's like that. It's like, this is a part I'm already past, which is really great. Like when I separated a few months ago, it was like, okay, yeah, it put me in a swirl. I'm not gonna lie, it put me in a bit of a swirl, but at the same time, it's like, I chose to be that person for myself. And I think it's the greatest gift I could have given myself. Are there times that I felt like, yeah, I could use more of a social life? Sure. But I mean, I go out, I do things. Are there times that I figured I could have, you know, met up with somebody and, you know, enjoyed myself and all that? Sure. But at the same time, I deserve the deep love and respect that I know I'm worthy of, right? So I'm going to give that to me first. I'm going to get clear on what that looks like, because the thing with always being around people, this is the other thing about human design, is when you're always around people, energy flows differently. Like you can actually take one person's chart and another person's chart, and you can see whose energy will pull whose energy in which area. And it's really fascinating. So I work with people and their teams in business, which is really amazing, because we look at the skills, right? But we also make sure everybody's in alignment with their energy and their self-esteem and their views and all that stuff. It's not just, I would say it's one of those things that helps team management become virtually effortless, is when you really have a deep understanding of how everyone works and flows together. And then of course there's assessments and skills and all that, but it's on a much deeper level of understanding, because when someone's having a hard time and you look at their chart and you're like, okay, well, I understand you have inconsistent energy flow in this area, so this is why you're super, you know, productive in this sometimes, but you can't fulfill on it all the time. Then you know what to do to put things in place, or you can adjust or change the working styles so that the people are in their natural energy and flow. Because a lot of times somebody can do they can do a specific job, but sometimes they cannot do that job if they don't have the energy that they can pull on all the time. But the other thing is knowing how to set up the structures and the people to be able to have that flow, and then all of your needs and all of your, everything's taken care of for you, right? So anyways, that was off on a tangent. I want to pull a few more cards for you. And congratulations on this journey that you're going through. Okay, it's not an easy one, but this is telling me that you're in for very deep rewards. Okay, so you got 3 cards. This one here is from the Pleasure Oracle deck. Okay, so sometimes the cards are a little bit risque. What this is yeah. So all the cards in this one were left and right. So you got what turns you on to the left, and it got listen close to the right, and it got it's your pleasure to the right. So basically what it's saying is you're not just going to be drawn towards the things that are like exciting for you in the here and now and like get you going. It's not like that's going to go away and whatnot, but it's more like you're going to start to really tune into that like inner knowing, like what is it that you're being guided to? What makes sense for you? What's going to help you on your ultimate fulfilling path? Not just like so it's almost like you're going to be giving up anything that was like something that might be just fulfilling or satisfying in the moment, or any kind of addictions and things like that. So whatever it was that you were just like grabbing at just because it made you feel good and satisfied in the moment, that was also coming from your past self, that wounded child that needed that instant gratification. All right, you're starting to be somebody who's a lot deeper in your life now. You've elevated, so now you kind of see things from a higher level perspective. Like you're taking and understanding the deeper meaning in things, okay? And it's going to happen to all of us at some point in our lives that we have this, well, it happens at several times in your life, but you got like little spiritual steps, I guess you could say, where you kind of have a greater understanding of how the world works and how energy operates and who you are as a person, right? So it's, this is saying that soon, even starting now, you're going to be able to start to tune in more to that intuitive, you were getting the intuitive nudges and things before. You did get those insights. It's just you didn't trust them. You didn't trust the insights. You didn't listen. And we are developing the skill. Okay, all it is you're developing a skill to listen closely to the sounds your body makes, the feelings you have, your gut feeling, your intuitive knowing. Yeah, the little signs and synchronicities, right? People are often oblivious. Like we're always having something happen, but we're often oblivious to what it is. Or we're so overstimulated by stuff that we're not even aware of the most obvious, quiet, subtle signs in front of us that lead us to the best thing for us. So the next thing you got is it's your pleasure to the right. And that is saying that you are going towards some things that are going to be really nice for you, like really, really good. But it's going to be coming from like a personal satisfaction. So it's doing some inner work and moving towards things that feel good for you as like yes, these things are 100% aligned. It's not you trying to make yourself fit for things, and it's not you trying to be liked. Okay. Yeah. So the Singer of Chalice: trust, joy, patience, creativity, hope, and miracles. Okay. So the singer holds the chalice from which the rainbow of energies pours like the richest wine. Trust, love, patience. These are the things we think of having or not having. We even give ourselves credit for having them as if we made them ourselves. And yet they are natural energies of the cosmos, which flow through the chalice and through us when we're open to them, and flow around us when we're blocking them. And again, I'm starting to have that. I'm having a hard time speaking and getting the words out. So as I'm talking about the block, there is some kind of block in communication that you have. And it's something that you need to get over, regardless of if it's happening now or if it's something from a long time ago. Yeah, you need to, like, the message I'm getting is like literally just let it go. Like, accept that there's going to be new opportunities and new things, right? So it's like forgive, like that Ho'oponopono. I don't know if you know that, but it's like, I don't remember the order, okay? But it's like, thank you, I'm sorry, I forgive you, and I love you, right? And saying that I did that last night before I went to bed, and I thought of all these different people and things, and I did that, and I woke up in the most fabulous state today. It was great. But for you, that would be very, very good for you to do right here, because the communication blocks that you're having or have had in the past, it's like inside of that, it's like just before you go to bed, when you're in that kind of resting phase, you can clear a lot of these things just by going through that, because you're actually expressing. You're saying these things, but what's going to happen is you're going to get images or feelings or things when you are thinking about the people or circumstances. And because we are all energy beings, it actually does make a difference. Okay, I'm going to keep reading this. So people often think that love and hate are two sides of the same emotional coin, but that's not quite true. They are altogether different things, as can easily be seen. When we're angry, it wears us out and leaves us feeling like we're less than we were. But when we love, it energizes us and we feel larger and richer than we were before, with that burst of love flowing through us. This is because anger comes from within, burning from our own substance, while love is an energy that flows through us, enlightening and expanding us. You know how I was talking about that whole self-love? Like, really, self-love, self-respect. Okay, the other energies from this chalice are also like that. Patience, for example. It's not merely the absence of impatience. It's a joyful, loving willingness to wait for a process to bring us to where we want to be. It contains trust and love, and a special quality of expectant gratitude within it. The same is true of lust. In fact, all of these wonderful feelings are energies that flow through us when we're open to them. They each feel much like the others. And right now, at this moment, as I write this to you, I am being given a glimpse of something wonderful. They really are all one thing. Something we don't have a word for. We need a word that includes trust and love and compassion and healing and patience and all of the other feelings that enhance and enlighten our being when we allow them to flow through us. I ask the fairies here if there is a fairy name for this rainbow blissful feeling. They nod, smiling and shrug. I get an unspoken feeling that if you have the feeling, you don't need a name. And anyone who hasn't got the feeling isn't going to understand a word for it. It's just one of those things, like the mystical experience of ecstasis, that we can talk about without understanding, or we can understand and not really explain it to someone who hasn't already got it. So, the fairies nod. Get it? I'd never seen this before but now, just at this moment, it is suddenly obvious, as the fairies show me that this means that we don't have to learn how to open ourselves to each of them individually. Again, the communication thing. When we open our hearts and souls to unity, that energy can be focused through many different lenses of feeling, like white light making rainbows through a prism. If we can learn to be open to any of these singers, then we can be open to all of them. Just remember. Okay, so you want to say no to things that close you down. Like, you just stop. That's the first thing. Let go of attitudes, beliefs, and emotions that block the energy of all good things. Okay? Yeah, and it's funny because I've been working through a lot of like processing things and feelings and whatnot, and I'm always in coaching. Okay, I'm always in training, I'm always in coaching, so it's like I have people to work through these things with, but there are some things that you might not feel comfortable to say to people, and those are the things that you need to clear. Those are the things that will help you to free yourself up, to be able to experience like that deep, I'm going to call it love, but it's more than love. It is all good things. It is that flow. Yeah, and you've got it coming for you. You've got good things. So, unconditional love, trust, hope, healing, patience, and so on. Open is open. Be open. And if you don't know how to ask, it is right there. Okay, I really hope that made sense to you. One more card, and then I think we're going to end this reading. Oh, of course, I get 3. You got the sound of creation upright. You got balance and harmony in inverse. And you got your body as the gift, which is orange sensuality or sexuality in inverse. So, yeah. Second card confirming that you don't have the balance and harmony. Okay. But this is saying, essentially, instead of going out, it's more or less being like having everything come from within and using your interpersonal connections. Like instead of having so much leisure time, it's like using your interpersonal connections as reflection of you and what can you gain from that and what can you give, right? Use all of your interpersonal connections to see, and it's like a measuring tool also to gauge where it is you feel that something's not right and something is, right? So yeah, and also sound's very important to you at this time. If you can do any sound healings on YouTube, they've got all kinds of like videos for sound healing, or people have sound baths and crystal bowls and, you know, different things that you say. Like this one here is like Om, right? So you can use different frequencies and different sounds, but try to be more intentional with the sounds, not just like whatever you put on the radio. The things that you put on and are all around you, they actually do, whether you believe it or not, they impact your thoughts, and your thoughts impact your feelings and your actions and all of that. So first you're going to want to choose the person you want to be, the identity. Sometimes you need to strip back and kind of find out a bit more about who you are. And again, that's where human design comes in. But yeah, you want to find out like who that is. Who is that person deep down? If you had all of the external stuff gone, who would you be, right? And this is really, really good. I've been loving your reading because you're headed for good things, and you're going to have to take some time for yourself to get back into balance and to do some rest, and also not throw your body around to everyone who doesn't deserve it. Okay? That's a very specific message for some specific people who are watching it. So if that didn't resonate for you, then that's fine. But it's like there have been people who have been, again, this part here is for a very specific audience, but there are people who have not been deserving of your energy and your time and your physicalness. And so you'll know if you're watching this, you'll know who I'm talking about. Oh wow, look at that. Okay, I know I was saying I was done, but I had to. So you got you're safe in inverse. You got telepathic internet and indigo intuition upright. You got the black dragon in inverse, light in the darkness, and you got say what you feel to the left and down. So lastly, I really do have to end this reading soon, but I just keep getting given more messages to you. So I have a feeling that you may have been blocked in communication, but it's almost like when you start to open up, it's going to be like this floodgate is going to open up and you're just going to be like, blah, 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 blah. Do not worry about that, okay? Because it might not all come in one spot. So, but you also need to clear it. So even if it did come out and you just like, you know, got drunk with your friends and you were a blubbering mess or whatever, like it doesn't even matter how it comes out. You've got to get some things out, okay? But the say what you feel to the left, yeah, this is something that's been going on since you were a child, like that difficulty being really able to express yourself, like really, especially the times when it makes the most sense to do it. It's almost like when you go to express yourself and there's more at stake, or it's like, this is the time, if there was ever a time, now is the time, and then it's like you don't take that action. So that's like, looking back in hindsight, that would have made the most sense to have that done. But you know that you have an ability to telepathically communicate with the people you need to express things with. So use that. Also, yeah, you don't necessarily feel comfortable to do it. And also you're afraid of what might actually open up. And so the message is like not to be afraid of the darkness, not to fear. You are strong, you are powerful, and you are safe, okay? Even when you're uncomfortable, just know you're safe, and take that rest and that time for you, and stop mixing with energies and with people who really don't align with who you are, like naturally, like your pure authentic self. Like you're mixing yourself up with a bunch of people who are not necessarily going to bring you to the life that you want, you know? And the question is like, why are you doing that? You're worth more than that. And And they're worth, it's not saying that those people aren't worth things, okay? That's not what I'm saying at all. It's just, you can sense it's time for you to level up. That's all it is like there's certain people and it's time for you to level up. And yeah, that's all I have for you. I hope you enjoyed your reading. I would love to know what resonated. Sometimes when I read people's readings, it's like I get really good feelings from them. And other times I get feelings like a lot of pain and a lot of suffering or whatever. I got a lot of both in yours. I got like a lot of like, you know, excitement about what's going to happen for you and with you in the future, and also a lot of sadness. Like I got a lot of sadness. There was like some guilt and shame, but it wasn't like there was a lot of it. It was more like an embarrassment about not being able to communicate the way that you would want. And so I don't know, there's courses of all kinds and things like, I don't know where to find them. Like I know of a few, but I'm sure there's like a lot more that I'm completely unaware of. So I would just do like an internet search and see which ones resonate with you, or even just watch some videos on YouTube and practice some skills. Get a coach in that area. There's so many options. So anyways, it's a pleasure, and I would love to see you again in another reading. Until then, take care. Bye.